Hello and welcome back to Chasing the Target. In this episode, we'll be previewing England versus Pakistan, but plenty of cricket chatter. And for that, we have a very special guest from Change of Pace, Mr. Musad Afzal. Musad bhai, assalamu alaikum. How are you doing, man?
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm doing great. Enjoying the football, ignoring the test cricket.
And with me, my co-host, Spence, how are you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. I'm enjoying both the football and the Test cricket, I guess. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
been good. But not enjoying the ODI cricket, so I
ODI
mean,
cricket.
whatever.
That's what I was gonna say. But yeah, sometimes it's football fever, but the cricket never stops in our field. I mean, there's cricket every single day. Plenty to talk about. So I thought let's bring on a Pakistani expert. Talking about Pakistan cricket because we know Indian cricket back of our hand. We follow Pakistani cricket as well. I'd love to get a reaction from you. But yeah, your initial thoughts on this series, the pitches, the way England played, the way Pakistan played, your initial thoughts.
I think that the my initial thoughts are both teams have got what was coming to them. I think that's how I would put it. In a more
Yeah.
in a very in the more serious approach to the game would certainly be that England are pioneering into uncharted territory when it comes to Test cricket. I mean, never in my wildest dreams did I think that this would happen. I mean, we've seen it happen, and we saw it happen in Faisalabad when back in the 2000s when Sehwag scored that double century at overrun a ball. And we knew that that was an anomaly. We knew that that was never going to be the norm when it comes to red ball cricket. But England, I mean, it's not just their batting; it's the mentality with the fielding as well. They basically flipped their slip cordon to place it in front of square. They had a 5 for 4 man umbrella and on the offside on the drive, and then they declared and you know when they declared, I said I thought it was a foolish declaration. I thought that Pakistan would just walk to a win, and that statement of mine wasn't just because I love Pakistan cricket. It was because we've scored over 300 plus in the fourth innings of a Test match against Sri Lanka in Galle earlier this year to win. So
Yep.
it wasn't just a spur of the moment. I genuinely thought that England were taking an unnecessary risk, but that's kind of the definition of the game for England, and it's so. I wish that I could enjoy it more if it wasn't happening against my team, because to be fair, it's remarkable what they're doing. And
Yeah.
Pakistan, well, they also deserve what was coming to them because they played exactly the complete inverse of what England were doing. They were cautious in the field, cautious with their bowling, cautious with their lines and lengths, cautious with their selection, picking Zahid Mahmood over Abrar Ahmed because of his one
Yeah.
year stint with the Pakistan squad. A completely ridiculous notion, in my opinion. And then also slightly cautious in the first session of day five, which I don't really fault too much. It was just 16 overs. But let's be fair, it never looked like Pakistan were going to win this test match. And if they actually did get over the line, of course, it would be to the excellent batting of Abdullah Shafiq in the first innings and whoever would have stepped up in the second. But it also would have been highly assisted by how quickly England moved the game along. Otherwise, there was absolutely no opportunity for any sort of result. I usually am skeptical about using, big words like cowardice or being, just uh, afraid of having a result. But I think that's exactly what Pakistan were in this test match. And now we've lost three test matches out of our last four. We've lost to an Australia side that mocked us after they beat us at home by emulating our celebrations, which is still annoys me today. And now we've lost our first Test match to England. Forget about the World Test Championship; that's out of the equation because we had to win the next 4 or 5 games, which hasn't happened already. So a big ask for Babar Azam and Pakistan as a whole. I think there's a strong uphill battle, not just about, and I haven't even gotten about the talent in Test match cricket. The approach in its own is it's quite bad. It's quite alarming to any fan or watcher of Pakistan cricket.
Do you think that's more to do with also the previous series? Because, the way England's playing, everyone got shocked. Like South Africa, India, New Zealand, they smashed all of them at home. Rishabh Pant scored a fast-paced 100 in that match, and England just made a mockery of that total. So the way England is playing, like you have to give them credit, but at the same time, as a Pakistani fan, is it more to do with like what happened against Australia, what happened previously in home series and stuff like that? Is that the case for you?
But see, that's my point, Mustafa, that the reason why we lost against Australia was because of our similar approach. We were way too cautious. I respect the way that England are going. In fact, I would say I admire the way that they're going about their Test cricket. I think it might even set the platform for future cricket teams to come. I don't think it'll be immediate. I don't think everybody will fall in line and try to do what England are doing because they also have a lot of batting depth that they can do that with, and also a captain like Ben Stokes doesn't come around very often. That being said, you don't play cricket, especially Test cricket, because there is no such thing as a defensive approach in trying to win a Test match, right? In ODI cricket or T20 cricket, there is a potential for you to defend the runs. Although in ODI, I've questioned that that's debatable too. In T20 cricket, with the value of wickets being lower and lower as the overs reduce, certainly there's an opportunity for you to spread the field, defend, and get a result that way. You cannot factually win a test match without taking 20 wickets. And the best opportunity for Pakistan to do that was to support their pace attack. Whether that was against Australia or now England, they didn't do that. And so, in under the fear of the opposition's strength, what we end up doing is also taking away from the strength that our team actually has. And the idea is like, let's go and protect our fragile batting lineup. Let's go and give them an opportunity to score some runs, and maybe we can give ourselves a chance. But that's not happening, right? Because we collapsed against Australia when we needed to hang around, and we collapsed, well, semi collapsed against England when we had to chase what I thought was a chaseable total, and we had plenty of time to do it. So the pressure of a fourth innings in a test match is often it often makes the pitch a lot more difficult. And we've seen this so many times, right? You'll see 600 runs being scored in the first innings of a test match. By the time the fourth innings comes around, even 200 looks like a unsurmountable task. And that's what's happening to Pakistan. You can't play test cricket by trying to neutralize the opponent's strengths. You have to play to your strengths.
Yeah, 100%. And I want to talk more about this, and we'll do that in our next section where first you can take the lead. We'll go fresh off the press. A lot of news to talk about, so let's talk about that now. So, first, before I get to you about the news, Musabe, on the topic you just talked about, why not produce rank turners? We're getting demerit points anyway. It's like, for the flat tracks. Why not do something where you can produce a result? Take that gamble. We saw India do it. We've seen Bangladesh do it. Sometimes it's counterproductive, but you get results, and at the end, it does become difficult for touring teams. It does take a toll, those turning wickets. Ramiz Raja had said, I mean, first we'll get into this, but he had said that, Pakistan can produce those kind of tracks or whatever in the next 10 years. But that's not really true, because if you see the domestic or Babar Azam, the Rawalpindi tracks over it, they produced results. So your thoughts on that, and yeah, why don't we have rank turners in Pakistan?
Well, we don't have rank turners in Pakistan because we don't need them. And when Ramiz Raja actually came into power at the PCB, there was a plethora of things that he could have addressed and fixed. And for the life of me, I don't understand why his utmost priority has become the pitches, because Pakistan does not have bad test match pitches. Now, obviously, maybe people don't remember, but it's been a long time since we've had regular red ball cricket at the international level in Pakistan. But if you look back, where our pitches are not like India's or even Bangladesh's or Sri Lanka's for that matter. Being a fast bowling nation for as long as we can remember, the wickets, especially when you talk about Rawalpindi, are supposed to assist the pacers. It's supposed to get you movement. You're supposed to leave a layer of grass on it, and it typically works. I mean, ask Shoaib Akhtar of all people. He did really well in his home ground there. So it's not about my issue is not about why Pakistan doesn't have rank turners. My issue is why doesn't Pakistan have pitches that support their style of play, which in this case is in this case is fast bowling. You see, Ravichandran Ashwin bowling 30 overs on day 2 of a test match in India because that works. And I have absolutely no quarrel with that. I know that a lot of media, especially British and Australian media, they're always looking down on Indian pitches. And with all my quarrels with Indian cricket, for the life of me, do not understand why their pitches are criticized, because they play to India's strength. Albeit now with Umesh Yadav and Mohammad Shami, really holding the fort down until Jasprit Bumrah finally played a test match in India. India doesn't even need to have spin wickets anymore. Their fast bowling is actually good enough to pick up 20 wickets. Sidetracked on that, but in terms of Pakistan, we don't need rank turners. We just need to play the kind of pitches that we're playing in our domestic game. I'll give you an example. On the wicket that England scored 657 runs in the first Test match against Pakistan, the average first inning score in the Qadi Azam Trophy was about 280 odd. That's
Yeah,
almost three times as many runs. That's ridiculous, come to think of it. So, because, yes, okay, they have a great batting lineup and they're scoring at an ungodly rate. But that means, okay, if your average is 280, maybe they get up to 400, 450. But
mm,
657 runs is it's way too many. And look, it's a bit of a push and pull, because one side is that there was just nothing on the track. The other side is that if you compare the first innings of both teams, Pakistan have actually outbatted England when it comes to duration of overs, amount of overs.
yeah,
Pakistan batted 130 overs, if I remember correctly, and England batted just 100. They still
yeah,
scored 200 more runs, well, at least 100 more runs.
yeah,
That's just because of the crazy pace they were going at.
yeah.
So again, like, just to conclude, we don't need the turners. We need a pitch that can actually help our current bowling, which would be something with a little bit of grass on it, offers a little bit of movement, can make the new ball talk a little, and supports reversing conditions.
Yeah. Fez, go ahead, bro.
Well, Musnab, I just wanted to get your take on, the latest news that we have, because England have already, sort of announced their squad, and
Oh
we
yeah.
see Mark Wood coming into the attack. Mark Wood आ गया है, for the viewers who are joining in, ये update है कि Mark Wood आ गया है because Liam Livingstone को knee की injury हो गई थी, and that was the reason why he's been stepped out. But how do you feel about Mark Wood, sort of coming into the attack? We saw what England did on the last day of the test match, and how their fast bowlers sort of attacked. You were saying about the pitches ke bhai, in the starting it didn't give that much purchase to the fast bowlers, and towards the end of it we saw that the reverse swing that Anderson was getting and Robinson was getting. So your take on that, and also on how Mark Wood sort of is going to impact this test match.
We don't like Mark Wood in Pakistan. It's very obvious. Anybody that can clock over 150 as consistently as he does, we have to be very wary of. As a country that has a rich history of fast bowling, we are equally bad at playing fast bowling, especially when it's at a consistent rate over 145k, and that's what Mark Wood really brings to the table. और जो आपने बात की फोर्थ इनिंग्स की पहले टेस्ट मैच में, उसमें सबसे ज्यादा क्रेडिट जाता है इंग्लैंड की बॉल मैनेजमेंट को. जो लोग टेस्ट क्रिकेट देखते हैं उनको पता है कि 90 ओवर का गेम होता है रोज. आपको पता है कि कितनी मुश्किल काम है बॉल को सही सेहत में रखना, उसकी सही जगह शाइन करना, उसको सही रेडी रखना, कि जब रिवर्स अगर मिले तो एटलीस्ट आप उसको यूटिलाइज कर सकें. सो I think Jimmy Anderson, all credit to him. He's almost 40 years old, and
Yeah,
he's
40.
bowling extremely well. Um, just exceptional bowler, but not just in terms of skill, but in terms of the mentality, the stamina, and the ability that he has to strategize. So credit to them for doing that. The Pakistani in me also says कि भाई bowling ठीक थी, हमने भी काफी विकेटें दी. जब साउथ शकील का आप अगर आउट देख लें, या अब्दुल्ला शफीक का आउट देख लें, तो उसमें ये नहीं है कि दोनों ने अच्छा खेला. स्पेशली साउथ तो डेब्यू पे था, तो वो भी आपको फैक्टर करना पड़ता है. बट उसके बावजूद एक टेस्ट मैच चल रहा है, आप अपनी मुल्क को टेस्ट मैच जिता सकते हैं. अगर थोड़ा सा और एप्लीकेशन हो जाती तो कहीं ना कहीं हम पहुंच जाते. बाकी बाबर का डिसमिसल भी बहुत
Yeah.
अनकैरेक्टरिस्टिक था मेरे हिसाब से. इस तरह का शॉट खेलते हुए वो वैसे आउट नहीं होते टेस्ट मैचेस में, और पिछले 3 साल से तो उनकी टेस्ट मैच फॉर्म भी एक्सपोनेंशियली इंप्रूव हो रही है. बट हो जाता है, इट्स फाइन. We have to put that behind us. Mark Wood, I think, is the kind of guy that will even make the new ball effective for England on a dead track. तो अगर हम मुल्तान में भी जाते हैं और ऐसी विकेट मिलती है जिस तरह पिंडी में हो, जो होपफुली ऐसा नहीं होगा, because it's bad for everyone. I feel. I know we got a result in Pindi and everybody's happy about it, but we got a result besides the PCB trying not to get one, not because
Yeah,
they wanted one. It was everything they did, everything that the PCB did or the Pakistan camp did. It felt like it was an indication of not wanting a result. वो इंग्लैंड को
yeah,
क्रेडिट जाता है कि उन्होंने उस सिनेरियो में से भी ऐसी क्रिकेट खेली है कि रिजल्ट उनके फेवर में निकल आया. Yeah, so I think Mark Wood, opening first hour of any new ball, Pakistan need to be very wary of him.
yeah. And we have Nitin Bhai in the house. Hello, guys. Nitin Bhai, you can ask your questions. We have Musad Bhai today with us, so expert on Pakistani cricket and cricket in general, so you can ask questions. Musad Bhai, आप जो अभी बोले थे, right? PCB didn't want that result. And what are your thoughts on Babar Azam's comments कि भाई ये मुझे ये pitch नहीं चाहिए था, कि I was surprised कि भाई ऐसा pitch मिला. Do you think it was contradictory to actually what happened? Do you think it was actually planned to have this kind of pitch so that they can at least not lose the test match?
Yeah, look, I'm not happy with those comments. Pakistan, we have this saying in Pakistan कि जो पाकिस्तान का टेस्ट कैप्टन होता है ना, वो प्राइम मिनिस्टर के बाद सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट फिगर है हमारी कंट्री में. तो इस लिहाज से बाबर सिर्फ टेस्ट कैप्टन नहीं है, वो तो आपको पता है ऑल फॉर्मेट कैप्टन है. ऑल फॉर्मेट कैप्टन भी जो है वो अब उनका तीसरा साल चल रहा है. जनरली स्पीकिंग मुझे उसकी कप्तानी से, स्पेशली T20 क्रिकेट में, वनडे क्रिकेट में, मुझे इतना कोई कप्तानी की बात कर रहा हूँ, बैटिंग की नहीं, कोई इश्यूज नहीं होते. मतलब आई थिंक उनके स्ट्रेटेजिक चेंजेस काफ़ी अच्छे होते हैं. टेस्ट मैचेस में तो मुझे उनसे बहुत ज़्यादा गिला है, और स्पेशली इफ यू लुक एट द ऑस्ट्रेलिया सीरीज, दिस इज नॉट हिज फर्स्ट rodeo. We had the correct pitches against South Africa, against the West Indies, against Bangladesh.
Yes,
All these three teams have
yes.
toured in Pakistan. We've had consistent results in our favor. What has changed? Somebody needs to ask Babar what has changed, because it's the same curation staff, it's the same board, but obviously the chairman is different now. If there's long-term plans, then they need to be sought out after. That statement itself really irked me, because the wicket, you could have seen the wicket a few days in advance. If you knew it was a spinning wicket, first of all, Pindi, like I said to you guys earlier, when it comes to test match cricket wickets, Pindi is the best place in Pakistan for fast bowlers. Let's establish that. Second thing, if you knew that the wicket was going to be a spinning track, why did you go in with three fast bowlers?
Yeah.
So it just doesn't add up. That logic doesn't add up. And even in the middle of the test match, Ramiz Raja, our chairman of the board, goes on to BBC Test Match Special and gives him an interview, throwing the pitch curators under the bus.
Yeah.
Just, that's not on. If you look at the food chain of the pitch, if you look at the food chain of the of pitch curation, the curator is almost at the bottom of it. Let's be fair here, right? In terms of the power hierarchy, it's coming from the test captain, it's coming from the batting coach. In this case, it's probably coming from the chairman too. The pitch curator is just a guy that he's the hitman. He's not the boss. He's just the guy who you send out to do and make the pitch. And that for me is such a deflection of responsibility. You're a test captain, you got to own up to it. And if it really is, for a second, if it really is the fact that you're not getting the pitches that you want at home, then we have a much bigger problem at play.
Yeah, no, 100%. Fez, this comment for you: captaincy of Babar and Rohit is declining. How many World Cup and series failure should be overlooked and Pakistan starts searching for a good captain? Says the Virat Kohli fan, Mr. Ashish Dadwal.
Yeah, I mean Rohit Sharma के हद तक मैं बोल सकता हूँ कि maybe even I agree to that. But Babar, with all due respect, फिर भी he got into a final of the World Cup and he's been performing pretty well. थोड़े बहुत decisions, it happens because on off हो जाते हैं, and that is always a risk that you have with captaincy. But रोहित शर्मा के अगर मैं रोहित शर्मा के बारे में बात करूं, but कल के मैच के अलावा अगर मैं बात करूं, because कल जो इनिंग्स खेला था रोहित शर्मा में, like with an injury, I cannot I mean Mustafa, I think we went back and watched it again and again because certain shots were like impeccable, like इतनी जबरदस्त वो जो straight boundary को मारा था सिक्सर उसने, almost got it home. But yeah, I mean आशीष भाई, I really understand आप क्या बोल रहे हो कि रोहित शर्मा की कैप्टेंसी थोड़ा बहुत under the radar है, and I think he has to give up one of the formats probably, if not like maybe either test cricket or ODI. It's just too much stress for him. With all due respect, 5 IPL जीते, but IPL के अलावा भी दुनिया है. International cricket is a different game.
Yeah, 100%. And Musad bhai, there is a lot of criticism about Babar's captaincy, though, right? Like the thing is, though, where you're coming from is also correct because he's gotten you to a semi-final and final. So, utna bol bhi nahi sakte, right? Like, you always talk about Pakistan, unpredictable, this and that. He's consistently got you to 2 knockout games. And yeah, you lost the game, whatever, you can have better captaincy, but it's difficult to argue. That's the thing. There's certain things, especially in their semi-final against Australia, which I didn't understand tactically. And जब Shaheen पिट गया उसके बाद, there was still a game there. Like, after the drop catch, there was still a game there, but he just lost his cool as well. But besides that fact, like, it's hard to argue against as well. But how do you see it? Because in the Pakistan public is split between Babar's captaincy, to be honest with you.
So I've always been like on the fringes of the Babar fan club, right? I'm not a member of it. I don't think I'm allowed in. But at the same time, I'm a big. I admire his batting. I think he can easily become the best batter Pakistan has ever seen. It's not a very high bar, let's be fair, but there's definitely a huge opportunity. Obviously, he's not going to get the same volume of cricket that someone like Root, Smith, or Kohli has gotten, but even within the games that he gets, he can go all the way, especially for Pakistan. Captaincy is really relative. And I've learned this as I watch more and more cricket, because it's very easy to say that, look, Ganguly had a higher win percentage in ODIs than Dhoni and be like, yeah, Ganguly was a better captain. Yes, but it's not as simple as that, right? Because the issue with Babar's, and right now, I'm not making this, I'm not taking a side, but I'm trying to, kind of make sense of why people don't like or don't want him to be captain anymore. And the reason is because he's made us, and you would argue and say, oh well, he's a semifinalist and a finalist. Trajectory says we should win the next World Cup. But that being said, this is also the best ever Pakistan team in the last, probably since 2009 or
Would you rate it
2007.
higher than the Champions Trophy team, the one which won in 2017?
That was a terrible team. The
So
2017 Champions Trophy team is a terrible Pakistan side. There's absolutely no batting in there. Azhar Ali is your one-day opener. Fakhar Zaman is
Yeah,
basically seeing top level international cricket for the first time at that Champions Trophy. You have an Amr coming back from, you guys know what
yeah,
that was all
yeah.
about. You had Junaid Khan getting injured in and out. Our replacement was Rahman Rais. Hassan Ali
yeah,
was debuting, who ended up becoming bowler of the player of the
Tournament,
tournament.
tournament.
And
Yeah,
Shadab
Pakistan
Azam
were
also.
yeah, and Pakistan were one ODI loss away from not qualifying for the Champions Trophy. So
yeah.
that story is just remarkable in its own. Specifically for
Yeah,
T20s, though, I mean, I watched so much Pakistan cricket in the stadiums of Sharjah and Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and with all due respect, I watched it with Rafatullah Muhammad opening the batting for Pakistan. I'm certain you guys don't even know who that is, and you're lucky that you don't. And we had bowlers like we had Bilawal Bhatti, who was opening the bowling for
yes,
Oh,
I
Bilal
Pakistan.
remember
Bhatti.
that.
Yeah, we know
You
him.
know, we had Mohammad Irfan on his last legs bowling for
Yeah,
Pakistan, and we were still getting results. Let's open up Pakistan roster now. You have, especially in T20 cricket, you almost have three layers of top level fast bowling. Not to brag, but I think our third level fast bowler right now in T20 cricket, which would be someone like a Shahnawaz Dahani, he could walk into a lot of international sides, right?
Hmm.
So first of all, you have that kind of talent. Safraz Ahmed did not have under his captaincy, and Misbah certainly. Misbah got
Did.
really the short end of the
Yeah,
stick when in terms of his
yeah.
limited overs captaincy. I'm a critic of his white ball strategy, but he
Strategy.
also got really really poor players in terms of where Pakistan is now. Let's talk about Pakistan's T20 batting. Now, even though I'm skeptical of the opening pair, statistically, it's the most successful T20 opening pair Pakistan has ever seen. You have the likes of Fakhar Zaman, who's a proper established batter, and then you have a lower middle order, including all rounders, people like Shadab Khan, Muhammad Nawaz, that can actually bat almost as well as a full batter would. I wouldn't say their batting is up to like Hardik Pandya standards, but on their day, as you saw Nawaz in the Asia Cup or Shadab during the World Cup, they can really pull their weight. After that, you have proper sloggers like Iftikhar Ahmed on the day, Asif Ali, and even the likes of the fast bowlers are getting a couple of sixes here and there. You saw Dahani hit two sixes against India in the World
Yeah,
Cup,
okay.
Yeah,
in the Asia Cup. Sorry, I mean that was
Asia
crazy.
Cup,
And
yeah,
Shaheen
yeah, Dubai,
Afridi
yeah.
hit, yeah, and Shaheen Afridi hit two sixes in the World Cup. So I think that Babar is being criticized rightfully because he is managing a squad that a lot of Pakistanis, including myself, believe is one of our best ever. T20 specifically. I'm not going into the test matches right now. So that's the quarrel with him. Now, the elephant in the room is that if Babar is not captain, does he actually even make your T20 11?
Hmm.
That's one of those opinions that people will come after me with a pitchfork for, because in Rizwan and Babar you have two very similar opening batters in terms of the output that they give you. Don't get me wrong, their styles are very different, but the output in terms of strike rate, boundaries scored in the first six, very similar. Can Pakistan really afford to have two identical openers in a world where you have the likes of Joss Butler around, where India promised us, well, they didn't come through on the promise, but they promised us they would change their batting to emulate England's in the power play, where everybody's changed. You have New Zealand scoring 60 odd in the power play, so
hmm,
where Pakistan are lagging behind in that department, and the criticism often is that we are 80 for no loss after 12 and then or 13 even. We have 10 wickets in hand, but then by the time those wickets come into play, they have absolutely no time to get the run. So the issue with Babar is that he's made some, like Mustafa said, he's made some right decisions when it comes to T20 strategy. But the problem is, if you take him out of the captaincy position, the conversation opens up to, well, should he even play T20? Should he become a Joe Root or a Steve Smith? And up until the World Cup, people were saying even Virat Kohli would go that route, which I thought was ridiculous. But people were certainly implying that at a certain stage. Test matches are different, though. I think Test matches, he needs a supporting staff. He needs a better coach. We just overall need to revamp our strategy. There is no part of our strategy right now in Test match cricket that I can actually point and say, oh, well, this was the right thing to do. And trust me, I've seen Wahab Riaz on day 4 in Dubai break his back against a very strong Australian lineup, bowling defensive lines because Misbah has asked him to. Everybody in Pakistan being frustrated. But that was his strategy. We stuck to it, and that won us games. And that's why Misbah is still the greatest Test captain that we've had.
Faiz, you can take some comments, and
Yeah,
whoever's
this
joining.
is for you. This is for you. मुस्तफा सर, आपको ऐसा नहीं लगता जब भी मारवा की पीक आती है उनको इंजरी हो जाती है और वो अपनी फुल फॉर्म में नहीं आ पाते, लेकिन जैसे अभी हारिस रऊफ है, हारिस रऊफ।
हाँ, मतलब मार्कवुड का यही प्रॉब्लम है सर नितिन भाई की वो इंजरी प्रोन है. आई थिंक उसका एक्शन का इशू है. लॉट ऑफ कमेंटेटर्स हैव कमेंटेड ऑन दैट. मतलब the way he runs in, he's bound to get a knee injury. But I think England उसको वैसा भी इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं कि like as a surprise package. जब भी वो फिट है important गेम में खिला दो. जैसा T20 World Cup he wasn't fully fit, मगर उसको फाइनल खेला नहीं शायद वो, मगर whenever he was fit खिलाओ. When he's not fit मत खिलाओ. So Mark Wood is injury prone. Unfortunate. He has to work on that, his action, but I don't know, it might be a bit too late. But yeah, your thoughts on that, Musad bhai?
Yeah, look, I think it's we talk about this on Change of Pace. Fast bowling is almost the stupidest thing you could do to the human body. It's against all the laws of the human body. You're not supposed to be a fast bowler. It's not a healthy thing to do. It hurts your knees, it hurts your back, it hurts your shoulders and your neck. And then you do it at 150 plus in a test match where you're supposed to bowl 15 to 20 overs a day. It's a ridiculous ask. It's and that's why we still almost admire and look up to the likes of Shoaib and Wasim. Wasim bowled 30 overs in his first test match. It's just ridiculous numbers, right? And so that being said, I'm not surprised with the likes of Haris Rauf, Naseem Shah apparently rumored to be injured as well, and Mark Wood pick up these injuries. I'm surprised that sports science hasn't caught up to a point where we're able to rehabilitate them quicker. I mean, we saw Shaheen; he's come back and now he's gotten injured again. But look, it's not shocking to me. I think there's an element of managing the bowler's workload. I think that India are a great example of that, what they've done with Jasprit Bumrah. I mean, he didn't play a test match in India up until like last year. And people were saying, oh, no, because he can't. Well, I tell you why. It's not because he can't. It's because India want more value from him. And it made so much sense. And that's exactly what Pakistan and maybe even England, to a certain extent, should be doing with prized possessions like Haris and Mark Wood. And even more than Haris, Shaheen Afridi, man. He's a complete three format bowler.
Three format player, yeah, agreed.
So that's very rare in world cricket at this point. So not surprised about the injuries at all.
Yeah.
What about
yeah.
Yes, sorry. I just wanted to get your take on Haris Rauf's injury. Like, how big of an impact would that be? We know he was bowling phenomenally in the India-Pakistan game, and then suddenly he lost his head. So, what do you think? I mean, I just want to get back. Like, what do you think would have happened with him during that course of that spell? And आगे भी tournament में देखे, he wasn't hitting that line, but towards the end, I think semi-final ये वो में he got his length back.
Yeah.
So what was that issue, and how big of a loss would Haris Rauf be for the test match to come tomorrow?
Those are still good deliveries, mind you. They were good
Yeah.
deliveries. They weren't like poor deliveries in that India game, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. But I also think that let me work backwards. I think in terms of the Test match squad, look, I'm sure you guys are aware. The last Test was his debut, and he's not really played a lot of first class cricket. He's one of those gully cricket finds for Pakistan. He came through the Lahore Qalandars player development program. They found him through a talent hunt, and next thing you know, he's playing for Pakistan, which is a quintessentially Pakistan thing to do. But it worked out eventually. That being said, I think Pakistan will still miss him in the test matches. It's funny because when we talk about our T20 fast bowling riches, I told you we have 3 levels. In test match, we're struggling to even complete 1 level. And that's not just because of injuries. It's because, and it's not also because we had a full Babar Azam trophy season, but it's just a complete lack of resources at the moment. Tahani actually was playing regular red ball cricket for Sindh, second 11 and first 11. But then obviously the PSL opened up, and the PSL is such a huge opportunity when it comes to the money that you make, and it almost fast tracks your Pakistan career, especially with the white ball. And you can see that it did that with Muhammad Wasim, with Shahnawaz Dahani, and so forth. So when it comes to red ball, Pakistan don't have those riches. So replacing him is going to be very difficult. I've heard of a couple names coming through from the first class circuit, and I'll be very interested to see who will play tomorrow. But I think Pakistan will miss. And Haris didn't bowl poorly in the first Test match, to be honest. My prerogative there is that it's very difficult to judge a fast bowler on that wicket, because after 40 overs in the first day, Pakistan were already panicking with their lines and lengths. They were trying different things. What I would say though is Pakistan have Jimmy Anderson right there in front of their eyes. The fast bowlers should really learn from him, man. I mean, that's a cement wicket, as anything close to a cement wicket. And Jimmy, working with Ben Stokes, flipped around that slip cordon, did crazy innovative things, and it worked for England. So you have to think outside of the box, rather than just go out there and break your back. Now, look, Harris versus.
Just on that, sorry, Musab, just on that question on Jimmy or Steen, who would you take in your all-time Test team? You only have one option.
Oh, I only have one option. Where's the game happening?
The game is happening in Eden Gardens.
Oh man, look, I love Jimmy, I really do, but I think if it's happening in Kolkata, I'm gonna go with Stain.
Stain, yeah, that's why people do pick him in the team because they say Stain is more all-rounded. But I still beg to differ in that argument. I've seen Anderson with great spells we saw in Pakistan just now with
Yeah,
the 4 wickets in
in
that
Sri
game and
Lanka,
again
man, he
against
was
India.
doing it in Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka and
Look,
even against
I'm
India.
not a,
The
I'm
first
not a,
test.
I'm not a Clouderson kind of guy. Like, I'm not saying that's not my
Yeah.
implication. It's just that Stain he also has a little bit of extra pace
Yeah,
comparatively.
yeah, no, exactly.
So
Yeah,
that
100%.
I'm just gonna pick him there. But I think, yeah. Otherwise, in
Just a
most
quick one.
conditions.
Yeah, that was a quick one. And yeah, so you were saying about Hardis. Sorry.
Look, I think Harris versus India became Harris versus Kohli very quickly. That was the issue, because the funny thing was, in that lineup, if you ask any analyst or commentator, everybody knows that the best T20 batter in that lineup is Surya Kumar Yadav. Everybody knows that, and he's so much better than Virat Kohli right now, and even Rohit Sharma or KL Rahul, that it's ridiculous. I mean, the kind of things that man did, they looked illegal. The kind of World Cup he had, I mean, it was like he was playing cricket with a tennis racket. It was just wild. I've never seen anything like it before. I think it was up to the standards of AB de Villiers, and I think bowling. We're in a much better fast bowling era right now. So hats off to him. First of all, I'm a big believer and fan of Surya Kumar Yadav. I cannot believe it took him so long to play for India to start off with, because apparently his numbers for Mumbai have been good for a while. But
Yeah.
that being said, he's not Virat Kohli. I can guarantee you that not a lot of people are talking about Surya Kumar Yadav in the dressing room. I can guarantee you not a lot of people look up to Surya Kumar Yadav in the Pakistan dressing room. And that's no disrespect to Surya, because he's still new on the international scene. But Virat is an institution. Compared to Tendulkar, and if you go to Pakistan, as a country, we're more Camp Kohli than Camp Tendulkar. We like Virat's aggression. We like the fact that he's the master of the chase. We prefer that over, let's say, Tendulkar's more timid presence, at least in terms of personality. I mean, the guy has
Yeah.
thousands and thousands of runs. He's no joke either. He's probably the best ever. But that's why if you look at there's an interview 6 years ago. Haris Rauf is training with the Sydney Thunder, and
Yes, I
India
remember this.
India are touring in Australia, and he's a net bowler to Virat Kohli. First of all, he gets a picture with him as a fan, and then later on, when he plays for the Qalandars, he goes like, my goal or my dream is to get Virat Kohli out. And so that, I think, that kind of kicks in, and that plays in Virat's favor, because suddenly you forget your bowling plans, you forget what you're supposed to be doing, and you're like, oh, it's Virat Kohli. I need to bowl to the man, the myth, the legend, Virat Kohli. Although Pakistan have the game in their hand, Hardik Pandya is going nowhere with his innings, and frankly, Virat's struggling too. And so, but the bowling wasn't that bad either. The first six is just divine. Like, there's absolutely no way any bowler in the world is stopping that. That's just Virat being Virat. probably one of the greatest T20 shots ever hit by a batter. The second six, there's a fine leg in place. Any other day, it could go down the throat of fine leg. It just goes over the guy there, and that's just Virat. It's Virat's day, and I think that Pakistan. One thing that I will say is that Pakistan should have been upset with that loss. The one thing that I didn't appreciate is that there was a lot of like, कोई नहीं, कोहली ले गया मैच, वो लेके जा सकता है.
Especially आप क्या नाम है नवाज, especially आप नवाज.
Yeah, मतलब हाँ एग्जैक्टली मतलब वो नैरेटिव ये था कि भाई कोहली है तो कोई नहीं, वो मतलब 10 बॉल में 40 भी कर सकता है, और मेरे हिसाब से ये गलत है. देखिए, I think I wouldn't be incorrect in saying कि Pakistan's T20 team is better than India's at the moment. मतलब उस पर डिबेट हम कर सकते हैं, but if you include the spinning all rounders and the fast bowlers and some of the middle order, आप कह सकते हो कि भाई you have to back Pakistan at least 6 or 7 out of 10 times against India. And that you don't get to say that often, man, considering how cricket is structured in the modern game.
And I feel that as an India fan as well. Like Pakistan cricket right now is superior. Like you're losing to England, we're losing to Bangladesh.
Well, no, I wouldn't say. Look. I don't think we're a better test team than India. I said specifically.
T20.
T20. ODIs, we don't even play them anymore.
Yeah, but if you look at the results also, yeah.
T20 specifically, you are slight favorites against India. Obviously, being Australia and being in Adelaide, which is essentially, I feel like, where Kohli was born, but that doesn't help. But there's still an opportunity there. But you have to play the game. You don't play the man, and I think that's to make Pakistan's mistake. But they should still be upset about it, and they shouldn't just write it off as a Kohli miracle. Although, let's be fair, it was a Kohli miracle. Yeah. I've never seen him cry after winning a game, and he was in tears after what he had accomplished. And a week ago, he was still posting about that innings on Instagram. I don't know if you guys saw, but it was, and for me that was because what I admire about Kohli, and I think he gets this from Dhoni, that very, very famous incident of Mahendra Singh Dhoni when India were about to win an ODI series in Australia versus Australia, and he called out to the dressing room through the drinks to the guy who brought the gloves and said, "I don't want to see anybody celebrating." Do you guys know about this? So he sent out the glove man and said, "I don't want to see anybody over celebrating. I want you to quietly come out and shake the Australians' hands so you can prove to them that this was not an
the controversy, right? With Harbhajan and Simons and stuff.
And he was captain at that time.
I think it was Commonwealth. Commonwealth, I think.
The Commonwealth, And he was at the crease. He was about to win the game for India, and he said, "I don't want to see any over-the-top celebrations because we need to showcase the fact that this is not an anomaly. This is just the new age Indian cricket. We're good enough to beat you anywhere." And I think Virat carries that. He doesn't look back on his accomplishments. It's just the next thing for him. He scores 100 to win India a game, just another day at the office. But Adelaide versus Pakistan in 2022, that was not just another day at the office. That took a little bit extra from him too.
Yeah, no, 100%. आप दोनों के लिए क्विक सवाल कल वसीम जूनियर या फहीम अशरफ कौन खेलने वाला है? फैज आप पहले बोल सकते हैं.
मेरे लिए वसीम जूनियर, आई प्रेफर वसीम जूनियर को देखने के लिए. T20 वर्ल्ड कप में भी द वे ही परफॉर्म्ड, अभी तो उसका भी डेब्यू होगा, आई अंडरस्टैंड, बट ही हैज टू स्टार्ट समवेयर. फहीम अशरफ आई थिंक लास्ट टेस्ट मार्च में खेला था, इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग. इट्स बीन क्वाइट सम टाइम फॉर हिम to
he's not in the squad, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I'm not.
Why were they saying today it's between Fahim Ashraf and I think I was reading somewhere on Cricket Info or something like that?
Well, I think, my bad. I think he might have been drafted in at the last moment. I think on 20. Yeah. So I think on 29th November he was brought in. Yeah. Look, I don't think Wasim is a bad pick, but against South Africa, Fahim wasn't bad either, and he also kind of extends. If we're going with a dead wicket, then maybe the extension of the batting lineup is not a bad idea either.
Yeah, no, 100%. There's just a couple of comments. Let's just take them. Archie Singh can't say anything to Rohit. It feels like we're wasting our time in bed talking about his captaincy. Forced rest to Rohit. Yay, our captain spends more time out of the field than inside. You can clearly tell he's a Virat Kohli fan, huh? Usad bhai?
I don't know, but is it like that? Is it because I think both of them are struggling captains when it comes to India. I genuinely thought Rohit would do better because I have a lot of I have Indian cricket fans that I speak to here, and we all felt that Rohit would definitely bring a white ball revolution, just as he has in Mumbai. didn't happen. Um, but yeah, look, I'm quite perplexed by the Indian results. I also think that it has to do with our cricketing culture
Yeah.
and also the pressure that our cricket brings. Now, a lot of times when we're on commentary, especially over on Twitter or over, and people are always like, "जी आप अपने players को chance नहीं देते ना, आपका player अगर 8 बॉलों पे 20 बना के आउट हो जाता है, आप अच्छा नहीं समझते। अगर आपका मोहम्मद हारिस जैसा player या हैदर अली जैसा player 10 दफा fail होता है, तो आप उसको निकाल देते हैं." And look, that's true, but the problem is that cricket in India and Pakistan is a much bigger deal than anywhere else in the world, right? Like our countries stop when our teams are playing, and that's just a fact. That's just how it is, how it'll probably always be. So that being said, when Johnny Bairstow fails for 8 test matches straight, it doesn't make national news headlines.
It doesn't.
Maybe you have like a couple of columns on BBC and some writer in the Telegraph talking about it, and that's fine. And that doesn't mean that his performances don't matter. But certainly, when you're playing for India and Pakistan, the pressure is way, way higher, and that's why that brings the fear of failure, and that's why I feel like our batting techniques are more conservative.
Exactly, like we were discussing this, Prasad bhai, a few days ago. Me and Mustafa, what if we introduce like baseball to like Indian or Pakistani cricket or subcontinent, and it's gonna be impossible to actually implement that because of the pressure of the media and one failure, and then khalas, we're gonna be in the gutter. Like Rohit ko nahi aata khelna, Babar has to go back to
Yeah,
conservatism, and you can't
yeah.
experiment in these countries. ऐसा इतनी बुरी गालियां गिनेंगे, you see a banner जला देंगे, पत्थरबाजी करेंगे. So I think
No,
that
and
is the
like
fear that.
even someone like Rishabh Pant, like I cannot believe people have the audacity to say that he should not be playing for India. And
There's someone
I'm
right
not a
here who
Sanju
says that.
I'm not a Sanju Samson hater. Look, I think Sanju's gonna have time for India. Sanju
Yeah.
he will, just like Dinesh Karthik, he will have his moment for India. But he won. Rishabh Pant had the balls to win you a Test match in Australia.
That's
Look,
what I'm
I'm
saying,
telling
man.
you, I'm from a country that's never done that. It's not easy.
That's what I'm saying, man. I think that Gabba miracle back him to the
But
end.
okay, I give him that. Like, but for how long will you give that one test that much hawa? You need to perform consistently. या तो आप 3 format मत खेलो, you stick to one format and then gradually grow into the other formats like a trickle down effect, or
Yeah.
you just call it a day and say नहीं मेरे को तीनों format खेलना है, but अगर मेरे को नहीं perform करूँगा, then it's fine to drop me. You're not performing, you're creating tantrums, you're not giving good media का interaction भी आपका अच्छा नहीं है.
नहीं वो
You're
उसका
falling out
काफी
with
है कि
Bollywood के साथ आप घस ले रहे. So I mean, he's a kid. I still understand he's a kid. बच्चा
वो
है,
निकाल
समझ
गया
लेगा with time.
बॉलीवुड से.
लेकिन
वो
जो
निकाल
भी है
नहीं
गया.
इसमें
भाई,
है क्योंकि ये
आप
मसला होता है हमारे यहाँ
रिएक्शन भी दे रहे हैं ना उसको. You're adding fuel to the fire as well.
नहीं
बोलिए
उसका भी
उस्ताद.
रिसेंट इंटरव्यू आया था ना कि बात करेंगे जब मैं 33 का होऊंगा ऐसा कुछ कहा था उसने. I was like, but I like
Ravi
that. You know
Shastri
what?
को.
I like that. I know I know it doesn't float in our way of work, but he's a little wild. But that's why he's good at what he does. Now, I also do think that you're right with what you're saying. I certainly don't think that because of the one Test match he deserves to have a basically an infinite India career. At some point, you have to assess the impact that he's having on the team. But in the shorter formats of the game, I think with India's talent, especially in the top order, they can afford to have a Rishabh Pant. Even some guy who fails, like your Asif Ali's will not, you will probably only work 3 out of 10 games. But that's okay because that's what a low value wicket, or I wouldn't say Pant is a low value wicket. I think that's not fair to him. But that's, you can afford that kind of batter that you have your 8 out of 10s, your 9 out of 10s, and your 10 out of 10s, which is Virat. But then you also have your Rishabh Pant, your Asif Ali's, your Hardik Pandyas, your Shadab Khans. It's a mixture of both. Because I don't know, and I haven't seen enough of him. I think he's a good keeper. I've seen a little bit of his keeping, but I don't know if Sanju has enough with the bat to do what Rishabh has done on occasion. On occasion.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, 100%. Before we move on to the next section, I just want to tell everybody who's watching to like and subscribe, but also like and subscribe to Change of Pace. These guys are doing a great job, and they're killing it. Really good cricket commentary. Sometimes they take the mic and they will banter, so you can come there and banter with them. It's all fun, and that's what we want. And Musab Bhai will also banter us during this show as well, hopefully, about India losing to Bangladesh. But let's go to our next section and take our fantasy picks for tomorrow. You guys ready?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
फैज भाई आप शुरू करिए एक इंग्लैंड प्लेयर एक पाकिस्तानी प्लेयर
मेरे
व्हाट्स
लिए
योर
मेरा
थॉट
मेरा फेवरेट बॉलर जो T20 में था उसके साथ जाऊंगा मैं नसीम शाह. For me, Naseem Shah is going to be the one who's going to step up. Even in the first test, he didn't bowl bad at all. On actually, he was one of the better bowlers, if I would say if I would have to say. T20 में अपन ने उसकी growth देखी, the way he was bowling under pressure situations, economical. I know he didn't get most of the wickets. Shaheen was there, and he had what's his name again? I forgot the other bowler, but नसीम शाह वाज द मोस्ट इकोनॉमिकल बॉलर. उन्हें रन्स बचाता आपको, उन्हें रन्स देता नहीं, एंड उसकी लाइन एंड लेंथ जबरदस्त है. आई लव हिज एनर्जी. ओनली लाइक 2021 या 19 है शायद अभी, यंग, एंड he has a lot to offer. तो मेरे लिए नसीम शाह है from Pakistan, and from England I think कौन है इंग्लैंड का, मार्क वुड ही
कोई भी
जाएंगे
बैट्समैन
because
उठा लो अच्छा बोलो
बैट्समैन है. आजकल बैट्समैन का एरा नहीं, आजकल बॉलर का एरा जा रहा है मेरे साथ. Yeah, I'm going to go with Mark Wood because of what Musad Bhai had mentioned. The extra pace is always going to tempt, like hurt Babar and the other group.
Musad bhai one pick each for you
Look, I've always said you need those 20 wickets. So I'm going to go with in terms of because the game's happening in Multan. So if Naseem is playing, I'll go with Naseem too. Uh, and that's not because we love Naseem. I mean, Naseem is like Pakistan's child at this point. I mean, we've seen him. His story is also heartbreaking as well. He debut on when he was 16, lost his mom on that same tour. It's been tough, and we've also seen him grow up as a person, not just as a bowler. So we love him, but at the same time, he's the only option for Pakistan tomorrow. I mean, विकेटें और कहाँ से आएंगी भाई? हारिस रऊफ तो खेल नहीं रहा, तो पता नहीं मोहम्मद अली तो खेलेगा, but then we have to see who joins him in terms of the rest of the bowling attack. And I think for England, I don't need to look further than Jimmy Anderson, because it's just ridiculous how consistent he is. He's a metronome when he wants to be.
Yeah, I'm gonna go batsman because you guys pick bowlers. I'm gonna go Ollie Pope. I really like watching him play as a class batsman. Just he's entertaining as well. So he can play at a quick rate. Had a good test match. So I'm gonna go with him. And Pakistan, I went with him in the first test. He got me a century. So I'm going Abdullah Shafiq again. I think he's a solid opener. He's played well in these conditions. And in fantasy, you need points, you need runs, and I think he's consistent in that way. I mean, Babar's a good shot as well, but Abdullah Shafiq is a bit differential.
Look, if you're picking batters, I would have picked Harry Brook as well.
Harry Brook is a good option. Yeah, he's smashing it, man. And he loves playing in Pakistan. He plays the PSL there as well, and he played well in that series before the World Cup. Let's move on to our last section over there. We can talk about be a bit more freestyle, but we already discussed Babar Azam. But I think let's get a 2 minutes on Ben Stokes. So captain's corner, guys. Musawa, sorry we're taking so much of your time, but this is our last section, and
No worries.
your thoughts on baseball and Ben Stokes, man.
Revolutionary, I think that's the only word I have for them. At points I've thought it's foolish, ludicrous, but I guess that's what innovation is when you're radical with it. The batting we all knew was coming. I wasn't surprised by that. Everybody knew they were going to go at a brisk rate. The Pakistan fan in me thought, okay, chalo hum 4.5-5 tak unko rok lenge. वो फिर भी तेज होता. For them to go over, run a ball for over 100 overs, it's spectacular. I did not expect that much of a return. They did the same thing in the second innings as well. So, I tip my hat to that. But more surprising for me was the innovative fielding that they had set up. The umbrella that they had on the offside in front of square, in front of the keeper, and the declaration. I think if you look at the top 8, maybe 9 test-playing nations in the world, there's no other captain that would have made that declaration.
That's what I was telling Francis as well. Yeah, I don't think there was anyone.
I don't think so. I think I'm going through my head all the names and I just don't think it would happen. Maybe a South Africa captain because of the bouncy wickets in South Africa, but again, that's a maybe. So I think Ben Stokes, it's not just a baseball effect. I think Stokes has a lot to say. He's a generational player for England. Don't forget. I mean, now he's won the Ashes for them once. He's won the World Cup for them as well. He's won another World Cup for them, and against Pakistan in the final. So he's got 3 huge accolades in terms of him. So I think that the dressing room really gravitates towards him as a fearless leader.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and before that final for me is always Ben Stokes. When it comes to the big situation, even in the Pakistan game, he let the run rate go up. He could have finished that game way earlier if he wanted to, but that would be at the risk of losing his wicket. He knew कि भाई मुझे वो trophy चाहिए, and he knows how to win those. He's a big match player in that sense, and yeah, man, he's a
Yeah,
revolutionary.
yeah.
His
Look, I think
temperament
history
is
in that innings, I think history will always side with the winner because I genuinely think that Ben Stokes' innings was not very good. It wasn't. A lot of people say that. Oh,
Exactly.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
it was.
and I,
The run rate went up during
yeah,
that
and it
inning.
wasn't because we've seen Dhoni do it very often where he lets the run rate go up himself, where he's actually dead batting the ball and he knows that he can get 15 off the last over. Ben Stokes was not dead batting the ball; he was being beat.
yeah.
He was being beat time and time again. So look, fortune favors the brave, victory remembers the winner. History remembers the winner. So he was spectacular on the day, but I don't think that innings was very. It wasn't great for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Uh,
Naseem ka over comeback over also Naseem beat him 3 times or something, and
Yeah,
wo over mein he gave like 4 runs in those last 2 overs. I remember, and Naseem was incredible. But Ben Stokes ka best thing kya, even in the press conference that he had yesterday with the media, he was just saying, "Ke bhai, someone asked him, if Jimmy Anderson is on strike with 9 wickets down and there's 20 runs to win, what would you tell Jimmy?" He said, "I'd say go for it."
go for it.
Go for it. Why not? That's
That's
the thing, and it's interesting to see his approach to the game. Like you said, revolutionizing and innovating everything. But the guts he had, and he's saying that I tried this to implement this when Joe Root was there, but I could say a lot because obviously it was Joe Root's team. But
yeah.
now with me under the radar, it's definitely we're going to go guns blazing, and I always want a result. It's always, unless he's realistic at the same time, saying that barish warish ho gayi, and then I'll have to think things through. But for now, I'm just enjoying the baseball and this approach to the game.
I
yeah,
think it's
and
it's it's more fun to watch when it's not against your side.
Yeah, of
but
course.
that's true.
but
That's true. India
It's
got the
even yeah.
India to receive baseball like in the when Perstu smashed it. I'm sure a lot of Pakistani fans were celebrating that. Like I mean, we're enjoying that
yeah,
in England, but and we enjoyed this thing. But yeah, it's something crazy. But also, Musafa, like just quickly on what you said before, right? Like the shot that he played in the second innings was a disastrous shot. And only he can get away with that, like as captain. Like Indian Pakistani captain is not getting away with that shot.
yeah. Certainly, if England had gone on to lose that Test match, then there would have been a lot more eyes on it.
Yeah,
A lot of these mistakes they get kind of glossed over because of the right kind of result.
Yeah.
But I think cricket is that kind of game. It's um, errors are almost statistically factored in. Like
Yes.
every time someone scores a century, and if you don't like him, someone will always say like, "यार उसका catch drop हुआ था, यार उसने no ball पे छक्का मारा था, या ऐसा वैसा कुछ होता है." But that's part of the game.
Part.
Like, how often do you actually see 100 being scored with no chances, with no half chances, with no drop catches, no run out missed? It's almost impossible in cricket. So you kind of factor that in as a professional. कि भाई अगर होता है तो ड्रॉप होता है तो क्या करें मतलब it's
Exactly.
part of the job. And so it's completely fine that Stokes had that poor decision, in my opinion. But if they end up winning, then that's all people will remember.
yeah.
Speaking
Faiz,
of
any
drop
last?
catches while century, yeah. Speaking of drop catches while centuries, Labuschagne Mustafa again century, bro, and Travis Head. फिर I
Bro,
mean क्या है यार ये चीज ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा मेरे को ये प्लेयर मेरे को
only कल रात में 9 बजे तक practice कर रहा था because he wasn't getting his timing right or something, so he was practicing till like 9 or something. This guy's unbelievable. He loves batting. He's crazy about batting. He's crazy about Steve Smith as well, and what a role model to have. Unbelievable,
yeah.
man. The form is showing. He scored double hundred, 100 in the second innings, and now 100 in the first innings. Yeah,
He's a
it's against West
machine.
Indies. Yeah, and man, watch out. That South Africa series, it's going to be incredible. If he performs in that, then this guy's name is going to go up the charts, and already so. He's been a great batsman. Yes, he gives chances, but he's a machine, man. In terms of that, Faiz, any last questions for Musafa? I have something, but you can go first.
You go ahead. I'll think if I
I'm,
have yeah.
Musafa, I'm going to play a very short rapid fire coffee with Karan style with you. Ready? Yeah.
Okay. Am I gonna end up like KL?
You mean Hardik?
Oh yes, but wasn't KL on the show with him?
yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah.
like Hardik got the stick. Hardik said the big
Okay,
thing.
hardly got. All right,
Yeah.
okay.
He was talking about like a lot of things.
I
But
saw. I
yeah,
saw.
I'm going to catch you off guard. So I don't know if you're ready for this, but Brazil versus Croatia, who's winning?
Brazil.
Brazil. Netherlands versus Argentina.
I think Argentina will go through.
Argentina will go through, and then the next day's games is Morocco. The whole of Dubai, the whole of the Middle East is supporting versus Portugal.
I think Morocco will win.
And England
England
versus
versus
France.
France.
But I think France will go through.
It's not coming home, huh? It's not coming home early. Like you're
Look,
deciding
they
really
got one
early.
World Cup this year. That's enough.
That's it. Yeah, Fez, anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, but like on the Morocco thing, Ronaldo, you're not a Ronaldo fan or a Messi fan?
Well, I don't mind. The thing is, I'm a Chelsea fan, so I don't mind. I don't like Messi. I don't like Ronaldo. I don't like them equally. So I
So
definitely think
Hakim
that they're the
Ziyech.
best.
You're a Hakim
Sorry?
Ziyech fan.
Yeah, look,
You're
I've
a
got
Hakim
Ziyech
Ziyech
on the Morocco side,
fan.
exactly. I'm a big fan of Hakim as well. But
Yeah,
that being
Hakim.
said, I mean, I obviously recognize it would be stupid not to recognize that Ronaldo and Messi are the greatest of all time. But I've been watching Morocco during this World Cup, and the more I watch them, the more impressed I get. It's not a Greece in the Euros story. This team has invested a lot of money in their
Exactly.
grassroots training grounds.
Yes.
They've really opened up their borders to bring back some expat Moroccans to strengthen their squad. And finally, at the World Cup, they're so organized at the back. By the way, I'm not a technically football kind of. I watch Chelsea because they're my boyhood club. I can't analyze football for the life of me, but I can see that Morocco are super organized at the back. They have a very strong plan to make sure that they can hold on to a clean sheet. And in a knockout tournament, essentially, as we've seen across this incredible World Cup, that you just need to survive those 90, or in this case, 120 minutes.
Yeah, no, I agree. And they have the best defensive record. The stats show as well. Like
Yeah.
they have a really good defensive. Their
Yeah,
clean
the
sheets
last
are-
8 games. Yeah, the last eight
Yeah.
games against like Chile and Paraguay, and I think
Yeah, before the World
World
Cup as well.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Just to wrap up the show, another fun thing, a question for both of you. From the non-basketball era, pick one England player who could play basketball. Who would you pick? If you had to pick one
From
player?
England.
Yeah, from the non-basketball era. I can go first, but then I'll do it for you guys.
Kevin
There's only one
Peterson.
answer.
Yeah,
There's only one. There's only one answer. What did you say, Faze?
Kevin Peterson.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's the answer.
Andrew Flintoff.
There's no other answer. Yeah, exactly. Maybe Freddie Flintoff, but those two are the answer ahead of their time.
Yeah, I would have gone Flintoff, but yeah, because he gives you with the ball as well. But yeah, Peterson and Flintoff, you can't go ahead. But yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much, Musab, for joining us. I hope you had a good time, and shall we get you on in the future. And best of luck for the test match, and enjoy the game. Hopefully, we get a good pitch and we get a good contest between bat and ball. That's what we all want to see. And yeah, and we will catch you soon. Enjoy the football as well from tomorrow, the quarterfinals. And yeah, thank you so much, man. And can you just let us know your handles and stuff so everyone can follow?
Oh, for sure. Thank you guys for having me. First of all, lovely conversation, great insight on the game from the two of you as well. For those that don't know yet, you can follow us over at Change of Pace 414 on Twitter, at Change of Pace Live on all other platforms, including YouTube, Instagram, and so forth. Yeah, and just make sure you tune into our coverage.
100%, we will as well. And thank you so much. Thank you, Faz, as well. Any last thoughts from you?
Just waiting for the test match and then Friday for excitement. I think sports ke bina din nahi ja raha hai. That's the only thing. Without sports, there's no life for us.
We have the test match, then we have the quarterfinals and the night. So everyone enjoy that. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel as well. We're a new channel, so appreciate all the support we can get. And take care, guys. Have a good night. See you soon.